The General Manager of Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory Agency, Engineer Olufunso Elulade, was recently interviewed by the Cable Plus Property Media Group, where he highlighted the staff functions of the agency, which include the certification of all construction materials, the need for all developers to subject their construction materials to tests at the agency's office before use, and carrying out non-destructive structural integrity tests on all existing structures.
Building collapse through testing of building construction material. That is the statutory function. But we have other functions which entails regulating private laboratories, encouraging the establishment of private laboratories in all the 20 local governments and 37 LCDs, enforcement and compliance to make sure the right materials are used on site, and collaborating with other sister agencies like LASPA, LACA, Safety Commission, etc.
During the interview, Engineer Olufunso Elulade emphasized the importance of testing construction materials before use, as it will help in ensuring the safety of buildings and infrastructures. He stated that the agency has the capacity to test various types of construction materials, including cement, steel, bricks, blocks, water, and others.
Is a soil geotechnics department where we carry out tests on materials recovered from subsoil investigation. That is, for every development in Lagos State, whether road construction or building construction, the first thing to do on your plot of land that you just purchased is to carry out a detailed subsoil investigation. This subsoil investigation will help you to understand the lithology of that particular area. That is the soil stratification. What I mean by soil stratification is that the layers of soil that is in that particular site, whether the soil will be able to withhold or withstand the imposing.
And sometimes the client people, they bring their sample too for crushing, just to check the strength of the cable made for that structural element that they are doing at that moment. For example, this is one of the examples which is made by one client, which is called Omega. It has been made at the standard, now 150 by 150. To check this, it has to pass through this machine to check the strength. Normally, it's supposed to be cured from either in their site, or we to crush here. If we bring it from the side, we crush it in our laboratory here. In other places where the company that they cured by themselves, they bring it at is when it's due for crushing.
This is the steel laboratory unit. As you can see, the arrangements. What we do here is basically to test the reinforcement bars that has been brought from the site. In this place, we have these equipment. We have the universal tensile machine, which of 1,000 kilonewton capacity. Then we have the monitor, the printer, and the hydraulic system, all in all combined to make a complete unit for the machine.
Chemical lab of the Lagos State Material Testing Laboratory. Analysis on water sample, and is in 3 stages. We have the organoleptic, we have the physiological test, and we have the microbiological test. So when this sample is brought in, most importantly, men looking at a water and seeing that it's clear like we all do does not mean the water is safe for construction. For construction, you have to use a water that is potable, a potable water that is drinkable. That's what you use for your construction. But we know what we experience in day-to-day activities of our populace. So when you bring your samples here, we advise that you bring your sample, we test your water. Because the water is clear does not mean it is safe. We check for salinity, we check for turbidity, we check the appearance, we check the color, we check the pH, we check the conductivity, we check the resistivity, We check the microbiological content inside before we can say that it is.
He said that the duration and cost of carrying out the tests depend on the type of material being tested. However, he assured the public that the cost of the test is reasonable and affordable.
Huge, please, it is. And cheaper, it is quick. Because some of these tests bring this from 4,000. You know, for some tests, bro, cube tests.
4,000 there.
Yeah, that's about 10,000. Then waiting for you to be caught after you had finished and had charges per floor 100,000.
Engineer Olufunso Elunlade mentioned that in view of the magnitude of the job at their disposal, some laboratories were registered to carry out tests on behalf of the agency. However, he re-emphasized that a report from any of the registered private laboratories will be vetted and certified by the agency before it's given to the developers.
They bring the results to your agency?
Yeah, the laboratories submit.
Oh, okay.
No, they must.
Okay, okay.
If they are on the government's list. But there are some quack laboratories. And of course, during our monitoring, when we come across such a building and we seal the building, they will bring that. They say, oh, we've done the edit. Oh, bring the report. We don't have vision. We just want to be sure you've done it. Once they bring the report, we'll go through our list. Is it a registered laboratory with the government? If it is no, we don't take that report. That person will create confirmatory non.
To augment the workforce, he said that non-technical staff had been engaged to assist in the monitoring activities. He also stressed that the government had invested so much in providing equipment of international standard for the agency to carry out any test on construction materials and existing buildings to avert loss of lives and properties in the states. The general manager also disclosed that a material testing laboratory built by the government, similar to that in Lekki axis, will soon be commissioned along the Badagry axis to alleviate the challenges faced by the people bringing samples to test at the headquarters Ojudu Ikeja.
The good thing is that the government is establishing another laboratory in our Badagry division in Okokomaiko.
Okay.
You know, which will soon be operational even for the election period. You know, so it's going to be operational hopefully by next month. Touch wood. So I'm sure we'll face a lot of stiff opposition there as well, because that side of state has enjoyed it like freely. Including logistics. And of course, you have to accept that. How would you expect somebody to take samples from Badagry, from Nasu or Okokomaiko to Ojudu or Kona? You'll be frustrated. So the government decided, okay, we'll give you an average so you can understand. And we have another lab in next. So the whole idea is all the 5 divisions that this agency operates, this is the head office. We want to make sure we have laboratories in all the 5 divisions so that it's easily accessible to people. You don't have to come in.
He stated that the government was committed to ensuring that the agency's services were readily available to all. When asked whether a building construction materials manufacturing company producing substandard materials had been identified by the agency since its establishment, the general manager explained that no manufacturing company had been identified because in an attempt to do that, the efforts are thwarted and frustrated for a lack of adequate information from the developers to apprehend them.
Or if a client brings any material for test, if it fails, we write to that client where the materials were purchased from. However, you will find out that when you now want to probe further, you'll be frustrated because they won't let you know that place, that material was manufactured. So when you hit the wall about 2, 3, 4, 5 times, what would you do? It's a cartel.
That Organization of Nigeria SON, which is responsible for setting standards for materials used in Nigeria. Another challenge is the lack of cooperation between developers who are sometimes reluctant to subject their materials to testing before use, lack of awareness, and inability of some developers to imbibe new changes or technology. In conclusion, the interview session with the General Manager of Lagos State Materials Testing Laboratory Agency highlighted the importance of testing construction materials before use, the types of materials that the agency can test, the duration and cost of carrying out the test, and the challenges faced by the agency. The General Manager, Engineer Olufunso Elulade, commended the Cable Plus Property Media Organization for taking the initiative to educate the public on issues related to building constructions and engagement of qualified professionals during construction. It's our responsibility to ensure that we save lives and properties by obeying the rules and regulations guiding building construction. Till we come your way, kindly subscribe to our YouTube channel